All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining our latest installment of Solutions for Success. My name is Jonathan Hamilton. You can see John Zeri's smiling face on your camera, hopefully, if you've joined on your laptop. Today's session, get to know your Microsoft 365 Admin Center. So an area of your Microsoft 365 tenant that some people are very familiar with and many are not, depending on their role within their organization. But John's going to take you through some aspects of the admin center that are good to know about and can be commonly used. And then is even going to show you some uh, aspects of the mobile app. Again, for those of you who have some admin responsibilities and are on the move and on the go, there are some great features in the mobile app. But again, I think, one important thing to note is, for those that aren't going into the admin center, John's going to touch on a few things today. There is a lot there. It's changing all the time. And one thing we do find with a number of our clients is, sometimes they set up their tenant and then sort of set it and forget it. While there are great features and enhancements that are being rolled out. So it is something that we would encourage you to sort of check in on a regular basis, or certainly reach out to Point Alliance if you've got any questions. But without taking any more of your time, I will turn it over to John, and he can get you into the meat and potatoes of his presentation today.
Excellent. Thank you, Jonathan, for the introduction. And yes, excited to be here today. Happy Tuesday, everyone. And I'm going to start with a few slides, just to give you a bit of a idea of what we're going to be talking about. And then we're going to jump right to the live one. Please feel free to post your question in the chat, and we will monitor it and we make sure it's all get answered. We will also post this one on our social media channels, YouTube and our website, in case you want to share this with your colleagues, and hopefully you find it informative. So just a little bit about Point Alliance. We are Microsoft Gold partner with the 11 competencies. We just earned on 11th about a couple of weeks ago. We are very proud of our team. We are 100% certified team at Point Alliance, every staff member. And you can find additional information about Point Alliance at our website, or pointalliance.com/company profile. My name is John Zari. You probably have seen me at the previous Solution for Success webinars, and you can find me on LinkedIn, of course, and I'll be happy to connect with you. So Microsoft 365 Admin Center. So again, that's the first place you go to when you create your Microsoft tenant, right? So it is really the center of the access to other admin centers and how to place to manage users and groups and so on. So, and again, as Jonathan mentioned, we will go live and show you how all those works, So again, lots of things you can do in the admin center. It can also be done in own dedicated tenants, like a SharePoint admin center. There's a Exchange admin center, Teams, and of course Azure Active Directory. So, but the 365 Admin Center, it is just a simple way to go things and do most of the stuff you want to do all in one location. So the common tasks that people do in the admin centers, like a manage users, of course, like you have a new user, you want to assign them the licenses, and maybe you want to delete or restore a user. Again, commonly resetting password, right? People forget the password. You need to reset the password. Maybe you want to look at your billing. Again, the billing, you're dealing with like in case you have a monthly billing or annual, and also you can see what license you have and when they are going to be renewed and so on. And activity reports, again, that's the area that lots of people really don't go into it, but it's a great source of information to see, okay, you got all these great licenses, and how are your team members are using these services, right? Because again, just when you buy a license with Microsoft in any level, email is just a small portion of it, and it's come with many other apps. So it is always good to see how people are adapting to this new technology and how they're using it. And again, create a Microsoft 365 groups and managing the Microsoft 365 groups. So those are some of the common tasks that we do. One of my favorite things with the Microsoft 365 is the admin app on your phone. So you can add it to your iPhone or Android device. And because as an admin, we never know when the task need to be completed or something need to happen. And we might not be necessarily at the desk, could be day, could be night, could be weekend. So this allow you to do many of the tasks you can do online through your phone, add a user, remove the user, change the password for them and so on. So it is a great tool to have. And for the people that administer their Microsoft 365 tenant. When we also talk about the Microsoft 365 admin, one thing I want to also touch on, there are many different level of access to that thing, right? Just because you can, as a global admin, that's you can have almost do anything, but you might have a more restricted access to your tenant for certain users, so they might not be able to perform all the functions. So you might have a user management role for a person, so they are able to create a user, update the user, or reset the password. So that's important. So if you go into the Microsoft 3 admin, and if you realize, oh, why can I see this? Why can I do that? Because your role might not be included in that function. That said, I'm just going to jump right into the demo here and show you what we have. Again, please feel free to post your question, and we are monitoring it, and we'll be happy to answer any question you might have. So I'm just going to share my screen here, and open my browser here. And again, we have a demo sites that we're going to go to that we have. So in order to get to admin, there are a few ways to get to the admin. You can either go to the, what do you call it? Go to the admin.microsoft.com. So I can do this. So that's a simple way to get to it. The other thing is happening if you're in an Edge browser and you're already logged in. So if I go here, for example, and I can look at the waffle on the left and look at all my apps that I have access to. And if you do have access to admin, you're going to see admin is one of the icons there as well. So you can also get to the admin that way and go from there. So in admin, there's a few features. The search is very powerful, by the way, because search already can get you to lots of things without even you have to kind of go to that section. So if I want to search for my name, I can just type my name and go there, and I can, or I'm looking for a group, I can type it and take me right there. So the search is very powerful and make it very easy. And on the top, you have few features here, like a dark mode. If you want to switch that to the dark mode, you can switch that, depends on your preferences. It's also going to change the font size a bit larger so we can see. So one of the things that I'll always do as soon as I get here, you can see on the left menu, you got home, users, devices, and so on. There's many more options there that you see. So these are some of the common ones I think you use all the time, and you can pin them. What I do, I just go click on the show all, so I can see the full thing. So if you pin something on the collapsed version, you will see that option. You also might have click on the top here with the 3 lines there and minimize this. And just in case you're wondering, you can click on it again and take you back there. On the main page, you do have a bunch of cards, and you can adjust this as you want to, right? So you can add the different cards that you want, service health, message center, and so on. So they're very easy to add. So you can add this and it get added to the page. And if I want to, I can just move things around and then move them to where I want it to be on my display. We're going to go through some of this menu on the left, the users. So this is the one that you will probably be using the most, right? So this is all your users that you have. So you can add a user, you can create a template. So when you're adding certain users for your certain departments, so you don't have to kind of remember what should I give them on those things. So you can create your template. Let's just say you're adding a bunch of the volunteers or summer student, and you don't want to add them one by one. So what you do, you can add them as a multiple users, and you can build them into the CSV and go from there. Multi-factor authentication, very important, and that's why it's one of the icons there. Very often when we work with the clients, we look at the we look at their tenant and realizing that people have a global admin access, they do not have a multi-factor authentication, and that's really put the organization at risk. That means if your password get compromised, a person can get to your site and do lots of bad things, especially for global admin is a must thing to have. So again, this is the only one I'm going to click on it to get out of here, but you see it's going to take you to another page, and we're going to log in here. And we'll take you to this page. So this is a multi-factor authentication and have all the users. So what you can do here, sign in allowed. So one thing is important, you click on the global administrators and make sure that who is on it and not, and make sure they're enforced and all those things. Again, this is our test tenant, just so that you know, this is not our live production, but that's an easy way to do it. So if you realize, oh, there's a person here, doesn't have it, we definitely want to enable that option. So there are have the two-factor and as a global admin. So very easy, as simple as that. So next time they log in, they will be directed to do the proper setup and installation and go from there. All right. So that's what I want to show you that. And again, depends on size of the screen. You have a bunch of stuff here: delete a user, refresh, reset the password, export users. Export user is handy, especially if you have lots of users and you want to kind of look at your licensing and do some cleanup. You can export it to Excel file and go from there. You also can look at as I mentioned here, there's a menu, and you also have filtering. Some of this filtering is predefined, and you can create your own filtering. So like for your billing admins or global admin, so you easily can filter it that way. But let's say clear a filter. We're gonna go create a new filter, and we're gonna call this one M365E3. We want to know who has Microsoft 365 E3 licenses, and we want to kind of save this for future. So we're gonna give it a name here. I'm gonna go to our licenses that we have. Okay, we see this one. Let's just give this a good name. Yeah, and then you can also put more options here to refine the list, but that's all I want at this point. Gonna add this, and now I can apply that filter. So that filter will be there for me in the future if I need to use it, right? So I can go clear filter, and if I go back there, it's one of my custom filters. So I can see who has those licenses when I'm managing my tenant and so on. So that's very handy. And on the list, of course, you have contacts, guest users, and deleted users. Let's just say if you deleted user, you have 30 days. We'll sit here in the deleted user. If you change your mind within the 30 days, you can restore the person back. And then you have devices. If you're using, you attach your devices to the Microsoft 365. We're going to jump to the group. So you got your active teams and group. Again, there are, as Jonathan mentioned earlier, this site or anything with the Microsoft is constantly getting enhanced on those things. So sometimes you're looking for something and say, why it's not there? So you want to make sure that you look at all the tabs. So what they have done, they organize their groups based off the type of the groups. Microsoft 365, distribution list, mail-enabled security, and security. So again, it's easy to identify them. You don't have to guess what it is and which one is which. So it is a great way to organize the stuff and go from there. And then you have a deleted group. So if you delete a group, again, same idea. You have 30 days to kind of revert that user, that group, if you choose to. And next one is a shared mailboxes. This is one of the great things with the Microsoft 365 is shared mailboxes, because traditionally people have the email addresses like info, accounting, billing at organization.com. So within the Microsoft 365, shared mailboxes that do not need a license. And the beauty of the shared mailboxes is that that doesn't need a credential. So what you do when you create a shared mailbox, you create it, and it's just like a normal mailbox, and you give manage access who has access to this shared mailbox. By doing so, within a few minutes, this mailbox get added to the side of your Outlook tenant. Right, so when you go to Outlook client, you open the Outlook, you're going to see on the side one of the mailboxes that we access. So it's easy to give access and remove access needed as people role changes, and it's one central place. So again, lots of people also use like info@company.com as a distribution group. But the problem with that one is that the email go to distribution group, and if the action need to be taken, you're really not sure who is going to take care of it because it went to a bunch of people. The nice thing about the share mailbox is that if the item exists in the inbox, you can say, okay, nobody has looked at it. But if one of your colleagues take care of it, they can move it to the folder, and it's better way to organize things and in the central place. Let's just say somebody taking care of accounting at company.com and they're on vacation. You can easily go to the share mailbox and now add somebody else during their vacation or during the leave, and they can manage the same mailbox. And when the person come back, they can look at all the communication, everything. And the other thing about share mailbox, when you email it corresponding, you can respond as a share mailbox, not as a user. So it just keep it is a better process to do. And again, the key thing is that it does not need a license. Then on the left, we have roles and assignment. So you can there are different ones that exist there, and there's lots of roles, and you can see assign it based off the need. The global administrator, of course, you will need to have few of those things, like who is assigned and who are the people and so on. The other one that is handy for people that want to know what's happening, but you don't want them to make changes, okay, give them global reader. Basically, everything that global admin can see without the access to make any changes. Then you got your resources, rooms and equipment, right? So you have meeting rooms, you have devices, you can easily add from here. So I can go create a room or equipment. And like if you have a Poly X, Studio X devices and you want to kind of assign it, you can create a room from here, give it a license, and then can be part of your team's communication. And the sites, you can add a site here if you choose to. And these are the sites, your SharePoint sites, of course. So you can add it from here, or you can add it from the SharePoint. Again, lots of the stuff that you can do from here is possible to be done in their own dedicated tenant, but they want to make it easy to have it in one central place for the common things you do. Next thing, I'm gonna go to the billing. So on the billing, there's lots of stuff here. One of the area that I go all the time is licenses, because you want to look at the what licenses you have and have who has access to. So I can look at my Microsoft 365 E3 licenses. We have 100 and 30 is assigned and 70 available and so on. So I can go to here, by the way, and also going to give me who are the people that have access to it. Just going to take a couple of seconds and give me that. So from here also, I can unlicense someone, or I can go here and add a license here to the user. So very easy. So I don't have to go one by one. I can go here quickly, add a bunch of people. Instead of finding the person and go to the add them license, find the next person, add them license. You can do it quickly from here. Your products here. And again, this will identify that how the product also was purchased, right? You might be working with the cloud service provider like a Point Alliance that buy the licenses on your behalf, or you might have some licenses that you bought directly yourself. So it depends on that nature of those. You can get the information about those, and you can see purchase channel, commercial, direct. So how that one's done. Payment, bills and payment if you have, and so on. Next, we're going to go to support. Again, this is important area. You can look at your support tickets or new requests you create. And so you can do that. I can say Outlook client. So what this one does, it will find the list of the things that might match the error you have. Let's just say I have a problem in my Outlook client. So I can either go to one of these articles, or I can contact support. And it depends who your support is. Or depends on your license type. Either you can go to your provider, or you're going to see this button under here. So they want to deter you almost using this thing, but it's right here. So that goes to direct to Microsoft support, not through your provider. And you can create the tickets here. And they're usually very good to get back to you. And you want to kind of enter as much as information as possible for them to kind of be able to provide the support. So look at this one right now. They even give you some idea. Phone within the 23 minutes. Talk about the detail of the time you're gonna get. If it's email within an hour, so this is great. So if you have an issue with those things, I suggest take enough screen captures and all those things. So when you submit it, the person that review your message can make sure that they're making it. They know as much as they need to. Time zone. Let's just say your tenant is based in Canada, but you're traveling, and your time zone is different. So you can actually change that and tell them, okay, I'm not I'm not in the at my home base. I'm Amsterdam, for example, and so they don't call you like at 2 o'clock in the morning, so they will know where you are. And once you put all this information, this will gray out with change, and you can contact support, and you can do that. So very easy, and to do it from support, and you can look at your existing view requests if you had any, and resolution. Next thing is setting. This is a very interesting area. So one is domain. So these are the domains you own. By default, every Microsoft tenant has an on Microsoft.com address, right? So when you create it, PIA zone is a default address for this. You can have as many as domain you want to add to this, by the way. There's no limit to that. So you can add that and decide which one is the default one. So if you have ABC, XYZ, you can select .com, you can make them one default, and that's become your default. So when you create a new user, that's the default extension of the email address. So again, and it's very important to make sure these are checked and healthy. So you want to monitor this once a while, because it could possible that your DNS record was changed and affecting the health of your mail delivery and so on. Then organization setting. Again, there's a bunch of stuff you can do from here, what you want to enable or not. One area that's important you want to do is click on the third tab, organization profile, and make sure that the information here is correct. Let's just say you change your address or there's some change. You want to go to organization information and update your info here. Make sure that information is correct. The other one that's happened to lots of our clients with a legacy tenant that they had it for many years is a data location, right? So the tenant was created and somehow some of the part of their tenant is in the US region. So you want to double check this one to see it is, and if it's a concern to the organization. So that's where you find it. You go into the organization setting, organization profile, data location. And here you also can make changes like a release preferences, how often you want to update to happen, and so on. So that all can be done from here. The next thing that you want to look at it as well is important. If you're working with a business partner, you will see the name here and who are the business partner are and what kind of relationship you have with them. So again, if you're giving access for the global administrator access to them, that means they can help you with the managing that and access your tenant. So again, that's what's done. I know again, there's lots to talk about, and I'm going a bit longer. Adoption score. Again, you can enable this thing, and this will show a usage. You can look at the usage of your tenant and look at based stored activation and so on. Forms activity, right? Office activation, Yammer activity, SharePoint, OneDrive. So great information. Next place I want to touch on is the health, and this does not get enough attention. So a few things you can do from here. If you do run to the problem, and I know people kind of say, oh, something doesn't work. This is the first place I come to when I have multiple people reporting the same issue, right? So obviously, it cannot just happen to a bunch of people at the same time. So must be something more major. So I can look at this, and you can see a bunch of advisory on the SharePoint, and so on. So you can that's where I would check to make sure that there's no issue there. Then is the service health. So service health, again, it goes to a different area and it tells you a bunch of information, as we saw, to advise for SharePoint and so on. What you can do, you can customize this. If you're not using some of these features, you can just turn it off. So just kind of clean it up. Like if you're not using Skype for Business, for example, you don't want to, let's just remove that. So the place is not crowded and you're not getting presented with the information is not matter to you. The other one that I find it very handy is this feature. So what you can do is email. So again, as I mentioned, maybe not all your users have access to the global, your admin center, or they have the proper access. So what you can do here, you can create an email, and we have with the Point Alliance, we have a team and a channel for the staff. So every channel have an email address, so you can put the email address of the channel here, and if there's every time and it's an incident here, uncheck this, put the email address, so that channel get updated. So your staff can also look at that without before calling you to say, was it any incident with the tenant, by looking at that channel within Microsoft Teams and get updated, and that will reduce the number of calls to the admin as well. So very easy. So again, from the service help, you go to customize, email, you enable it, and I would remove the advisory and or issue. Again, this is for staff. You can create a different one. So choose what you need to choose and is important to you with the email address. So you can send it to a normal email address, or I find that the team channel is a great feature because all your team members can access that information, and that will be the first place they go to when they see a series of the same issue occurring at the same time. Windows release help, again, you have the information, so you can see when it's going to get released. Message Center is very handy too. So these are all the features that's coming in the get enrolled. Microsoft works very hard every month and almost on a weekly basis to do that with the preferences again. Same idea. You can have this email goes to the other email address and put your infrastructure team as part of this, so they know what has been enrolled. So if somebody called and say, "Oh, is this a new feature in Teams?" You can say, "Oh yeah." So they know it about that. So this is a great place to set this one up and have all your admin team, maybe a distribution group or any type of email address here, so they can view this thing as happens. So this goes out once a week and is great. Again, we're running kind of out of time, but hopefully you have a few more minutes. I want to show you the admin client here on my phone. Again, it doesn't matter you're using the iOS or using the Android, it works the same. So this is the admin, with the gear on my screen here. I'm going to click on it. So I go here again, this opens up and I have access to a message sender, service help, and so on. Block user, reset password, assign license, add users. Look at all right in the center here. I can go to all my users and look at the person and look at my licenses and who has what license. So I can go here again, reset the password, assign license, block the user. Let's just say you need to put somebody on a legal hold, for example, even just as easy as that. Checkbox. So you don't have to be at your desk to do those kind of things. Devices in Intune, in case you are using that thing. Again, in this case, we are using that. So we can say the person has 2 devices and it is compliant. And reset password, very easy. I can reset the password for them and have them get email to them. So again, all done from the admin client, and you have lots of great features there. And you can go back to the home here. And if you're working with you have multiple tenants, by the way, you can also switch between those tenants as well from here. So in case your organization has more than one tenant, I can look at my groups and I can search for something. So I can say, to type it correctly, and I can search for anything that has a word team in it, and we have a few of those things, so it can get you to that. So again, very easy, and definitely recommend you downloading this thing and put it to use. And again, billing, product licenses, this really has improved a lot over last year or so and has lots of features built into it. Again, very easy. What is expired, what is disabled, and what is deleted, in case you had it before. That's it. That brings me to the end of our presentation. And just see if there is any question you might have. I'll be happy to answer it. If not, again, just to value your time, I really appreciate you attending our session today. If you have any questions, just reach out to us later time. We'd be happy to provide you more detailed demo or give you more information. Yes, we will sharing this. You will get the email shortly with this information. Also, we will post this video on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Point Alliance. You can also check our previous demos as well. So we hope to see you at our next event. This happened the 3rd Tuesday of each month, by the way, except December. We have this every month, and we hope to see you at our next event. That's it. If there's no question, we can wrap this up, and hopefully you find this session very informative. Thank you so much for your time, and have a wonderful day.